really wanted to find out who my father was, and for the case not to go how I was planning it, I really thought it was going to go different than what it was. But well, I really feel like it should have been over with because the first time I heard that JayZ probably was my father when I was 8 years old, my mom came up to me and was like, "Hey, Rob, I got something to tell you. That's your dad for real. That you don't just say this type of person is your father, JayZ." It is important that I know who my biological father is. I don't know who I know how he feeling. Like I would hope he would think about it.
So now it's starting to look like JayZ might have way more hidden secrets than anyone first imagined. And this time, the spotlight isn't just fading away quietly. People are whispering, connecting dots, and suddenly stories that once sounded wild are starting to feel a little too real to ignore. What's really catching everyone off guard is how Blue Ivy has seemingly become part of this whole situation in a way nobody expected. Word on the street is that she's become aware of something serious, something that's been kept under wraps for a long time, and instead of brushing it off, she's reportedly choosing to distance herself completely. That alone has people raising eyebrows because it suggests this isn't just gossip, it's something that actually hit close to home. And then there's the situation with Ramir Satterwhite, who has been at the center of these long-running claims. For years, there have been allegations about a possible connection, with Ramir insisting on his side of the story, while JayZ has consistently stayed silent or had his team shut things down fast. But now, critics are saying the efforts to keep things quiet have been way more intense than anyone realized, almost like there's a deeper reason behind it all. At first, many people assumed the concern was tied to old rumors about a past relationship that allegedly involved someone very young at the time. That narrative spread quickly online, with people speculating and filling in gaps without confirmed details. But now the conversation is shifting, and not in a small way. Insiders and fans alike are starting to say the situation might not be about just one past rumor. It could point to a much bigger pattern of secrets being carefully managed behind the scenes. What's making this even more dramatic is the idea that Blue Ivy, who has grown up in the public eye but usually stays out of controversy, is now being linked to the emotional fallout of it all. Reports suggest she wants nothing to do with the situation, and that kind of reaction is what's really fueling speculation. People are asking, what could make her step back like that unless something serious is going on? Social media is going wild, with some users saying things like, "This is bigger than anyone thought," and others claiming there's no way all of this is just coincidence. The tone has shifted from casual curiosity to full-on suspicion, and every new detail just adds more intensity to the conversation. At the end of the day, nothing has been officially confirmed, but the pressure is building and the story isn't slowing down anytime soon. The mix of long-standing claims, alleged family tension, and sudden reactions is creating a situation that feels impossible to ignore, and people are watching closely to see what comes next.
She met JayZ
Yes,
and had intercourse with him. How old was she?
I would say I think she was about 16, 17, or 16, just turning 16 or 17. I wouldn't, I know it was one of them.
And JayZ was what age?
I wouldn't happen to know. I think was he in his 20s?
I read 22.
Oh, yeah,
I
well,
think I read 22, but
he
he
was
was in his
22.
20s.
Yes, I wouldn't happen to know his age, but 22, I'm pretty sure if they put that out there, then
Yeah,
that's what his age was.
right.
Yeah.
So I just want to point out to our audience that JayZ having sex with a minor would make that child rape because she was underage at the time. And then furthermore, the fact that he took her from one state to another state, I imagine would be in violation of state laws.
Wow.
So moving forward,
Now, for anyone who somehow missed this entire situation, here's where things really start to get intense, because this story didn't just pop up overnight. It's been building for years, quietly, until it finally exploded into the spotlight. It all goes back to claims made by Ramir Satterwhite, who has been saying for a long time that JayZ is his biological father. According to his account, his late mother, Wanda Satterwhite, told him that she had a connection with JayZ back in the early 1990s and that he was the reason she became pregnant. That alone was enough to spark attention, but what really pushed things further was what Wanda allegedly documented before she passed away. Reports say that before her death in 2019, Wanda signed a legal affidavit describing her version of events. In that statement, she claimed she met JayZ through a mutual connection and that things quickly turned personal between them. According to her, they spent time together in Brooklyn, and after that encounter, she later found out she was pregnant. She also stated that protection was used but failed, which she believed led to Ramir being conceived. Now, here's where the situation gets even more complicated. Wanda reportedly tried multiple times over the years to reach out and get acknowledgement, but according to the claims, those efforts didn't go anywhere. With no response and no support, she ended up putting another man, Robert Graves, on Ramir's birth certificate at the time. That decision, according to people close to the story, was more about survival than anything else, because she was left to handle everything on her own. But the story didn't stop there, not even close. After Wanda and Robert eventually separated, reports claim he removed his name from that role, which pushed Wanda to once again try to pursue answers. She allegedly attempted to take legal action to secure child support, but the case didn't move forward. Supporters of Ramir believe that powerful connections may have influenced how things played out, though none of that has been officially confirmed. What's clear is that this situation stretched on for years, with tension building and no real resolution in sight. And when Wanda passed away in 2019, everything shifted dramatically. That's when Ramir decided he wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. Instead of letting the story fade, he stepped forward publicly and started pushing harder than ever for recognition and a paternity test. According to Ramir's godmother, Lily Colley, there was actually a moment where it seemed like progress might happen. She claimed that JayZ initially seemed open to the idea of taking a paternity test, which gave them hope that things could finally be settled once and for all. But then something changed, and fast. In her words, new legal teams got involved and the tone completely shifted. What once seemed like a possible resolution suddenly turned into a wall of resistance. Lily suggested that the stakes may have been higher than people realized, especially considering the timeline and the sensitive nature of the allegations. Since then, she has spoken out about what she describes as legal roadblocks, missteps, and ongoing challenges that have made it difficult to move forward. But despite all of that, Ramir and Lily have made it clear that they're not backing down. They've continued to speak publicly, insisting that they just want the truth to come out, no matter how long it takes. And that determination has kept the story alive, with more people starting to pay attention as details continue to surface. Things reached another level when they sat down with an interview with journalist Liz Crocken, who's known for covering controversial and high-profile stories. During that conversation, they opened up about everything they've been dealing with, from legal struggles to public scrutiny, and gave a deeper look into their side of the situation. And here's another layer that has people talking. Liz Crocken had already been connected to past reporting involving someone named Kathy White, who had also been linked to JayZ in previous rumors. Her reporting raised questions about the circumstances surrounding Kathy's death, which some people have described as suspicious, although no official findings have confirmed wrongdoing. Because of that history, when Liz got involved in Ramir's story, it added even more attention and intensity. Supporters felt like someone with experience digging into complicated situations was finally shining a light on this one too, while critics questioned the credibility of everything being presented. Either way, it pushed the conversation into a much bigger space. Now, the entire situation has turned into a mix of long-standing claims, unanswered questions, and public debate that just keeps growing louder. Some people believe Ramir deserves answers and closure, while others remain skeptical and want to see verified proof before drawing any conclusions. One thing is certain, though, this is no longer a quiet dispute happening behind closed doors. It has become a full-blown public discussion, with each new interview, statement, and reaction adding more fuel to an already intense situation. And as more eyes lock onto the story, the pressure for clear answers just keeps building.
Think that it seemed that JayZ via his people were willing to work something out behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden that stopped. Why do you think that he is refusing to take a paternity test and stopped, working with you all behind the scenes? What was driving that, in your opinion?
Well, part of it was a rumor that was told that
Okay.
he didn't like the fact that this particular case was in the public, and he had
Okay.
a problem with Ramir putting it in the public, which was not Ramir, was his mother. So basically, in a nutshell, I just believe that was a big part of it. He didn't
Okay.
like the fact that it was in public. There was a time that Mr. Carter was trying to resolve the matter in the very beginning,
Mhm.
and he was doing it in the best interest of Ramir. And then somewhere he left his heart and started thinking with his head.
Do you think part of it is because Wanda was 16?
Yeah, well, definitely that's the big part of it. The allegations that we have, that the affidavit says that Wanda was 16 and he was 22. That's in Wanda's own words.
Right.
So therefore, yeah, that would be something that would make some people uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a crime. But for the record, you did tell me that Wanda told you that she did tell JayZ that she was of legal age. Is that true?
Right. She did tell me that she told him she was 18 or something, whatever she told.
And this is where the story takes an even darker turn, because the claims don't just stop at legal battles or public denials. They start to move into something way more intense and honestly unsettling. According to Ramir's godmother, Lily Colley, things allegedly escalated after they made it clear they were not backing down from their pursuit of answers. She claimed that once they refused to drop the case, they began experiencing what she described as ongoing intimidation, not just random incidents either. She suggested it felt organized, persistent, and designed to scare them into silence. Lily went as far as to say that both she and Ramir believed they were being followed by individuals who appeared to be armed. That's a serious accusation, and it immediately raised alarm among people who were already paying attention to the situation. The idea that this could go beyond a legal dispute and into alleged threats and surveillance had people reacting strongly online. According to her account, these incidents weren't isolated moments. She described a pattern: cars appearing repeatedly, unfamiliar individuals watching their movements, and a general feeling that they were being tracked. Whether it was outside their home, while traveling, or during everyday activities, she claimed the pressure didn't let up. Now, to be clear, these are allegations that have not been confirmed by official investigations, but the way Lily tells it, the experience felt real enough to push them to seek help from law enforcement. Ramir reportedly filed complaints with the police, hoping that authorities would step in and at least look into what was happening. But here's where things get even more frustrating for them. According to their claims, nothing came from those reports. They say there was no meaningful follow-up, no protection offered, and no visible effort to investigate the situation further. That lack of response only added to their fear, making them feel like they were completely on their own while dealing with something they believed was serious. For supporters of Ramir, this part of the story is especially concerning. They argue that if someone feels threatened enough to go to the police, there should at least be some level of inquiry. The absence of action in their eyes raises questions about whether the situation was taken seriously or quietly dismissed. Still, even skeptics admit that if there's any truth to these allegations, it would represent a major escalation beyond anything previously discussed. What's undeniable is that this part of the story added a whole new layer of intensity. Up until then, the focus had mostly been on paternity claims, legal struggles, and public statements. But once talk of alleged intimidation entered the picture, the entire narrative shifted into something that feels much heavier and more urgent. Lily has continued to stand firm in her statements, insisting that they experienced things that made them fear for their safety. She has framed their persistence not just as a fight for answers, but as a refusal to be silenced under pressure. That stance has resonated with some people who see it as proof that they truly believe in what they're saying. At the same time, others are urging caution, reminding everyone that high-profile situations often attract rumors, exaggerations, and competing narratives. They emphasize the importance of relying on confirmed facts rather than speculation, especially when accusations involve potential harm or criminal behavior. Still, the damage, or at least the impact, has already been done in terms of public perception. Once these kinds of allegations enter the conversation, they tend to stick, whether proven or not. And in a case that was already filled with controversy, this only made things more complicated and harder to untangle. Social media reactions have been intense, with people saying things like, "This is getting out of control," and others posting, "If this is true, it changes everything." The discussion has moved beyond curiosity and into serious debate, with emotions running high on all sides. What makes this situation even more complicated is the lack of clear resolution. There hasn't been a definitive investigation publicly confirming or denying these specific claims, which leaves everything sitting in a gray area. That uncertainty is exactly what keeps the story alive and constantly evolving. At its core, this part of the narrative highlights just how far-reaching and layered the entire situation has become. What started as a personal claim has now expanded into allegations involving legal systems, public figures, and even personal safety. And with so many unanswered questions still hanging in the air, people are watching closely to see if any solid answers will finally come to light. One thing is certain: the moment these allegations surfaced, the tone of the conversation shifted dramatically. It's no longer just about who said what or who might be related to who. Now it's about the seriousness of the claims, the lack of clear resolution, and the growing demand for clarity in a story that just keeps getting deeper and more complicated.
Yep.
We had to go to the police about several things. There's people, like you said, came into the property. Some of them knocked on Ramir's window. They
Mhm.
wanted Ramir to drop the case of suspect early on. There's been a lot of what they call intimidation.
And just when it seemed like this situation couldn't get any more complicated, another twist came out that had people seriously questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. So here's what's being claimed. Ramir didn't just rely on interviews or legal routes to prove his case. At one point, he reportedly tried to take matters into his own hands by going the ancestry route. The idea was simple but bold. Instead of waiting around for a direct DNA test with Jay, he would use widely available ancestry testing services to trace his genetic background and see if it linked back to Jay's known family line. Now, in theory, that method has worked for some people in the past. These types of tests can connect relatives through shared DNA markers, sometimes revealing family ties that were never officially acknowledged. So, from Ramir's perspective, this could have been a way to finally get answers without needing direct cooperation. But according to the claims being made, things didn't go as planned, not even close. Ramir has alleged that the test he submitted was somehow interfered with and that he never received clear or usable results. That alone raised a lot of eyebrows because these services are usually automated and handled through standardized processes. The idea that a test could be tampered with added a whole new layer of suspicion to an already controversial situation. Supporters immediately started asking questions like, how does something like that even happen? And who would have the ability to interfere with a private DNA test? Those questions don't have clear answers, but they've definitely fueled speculation across social media and online discussions. And here's where things get even layered. Ramir isn't the only person who has made claims like this. There have also been mentions of another individual, Letitia Massot, who has publicly alleged that she too is connected to JayZ as his daughter. According to her story, she also faced challenges when trying to get a direct DNA test done. Instead of waiting indefinitely, Letitia reportedly turned to ancestry testing as well. She claimed that through her results, she was able to trace connections that pointed toward JayZ's family line. That revelation, according to her account, was a major moment, one that she believed supported her claims. But then, just like in Ramir's situation, the story takes another unexpected turn. There are allegations that shortly after those findings came to light, Letitia stopped speaking publicly about the matter. Some reports have gone as far as suggesting that she may have reached a private agreement, though no verified evidence has confirmed those claims. Still, the timing of her silence has kept people talking. So when Ramir decided to try a similar approach, supporters believed he might finally break through and get the confirmation he had been seeking for years. It seemed like a strategic move, one that didn't rely on cooperation and could potentially provide independent results. However, with his claim that the test was tampered with and never properly delivered, that plan appears to have fallen apart before it could produce anything concrete. And of course, that only added more tension and more questions to an already tangled situation. Critics are quick to point out that ancestry testing, while useful, isn't always definitive on its own. Without a direct comparison to the alleged parent's DNA, results can sometimes be interpreted in different ways. They also emphasize that claims of interference would require strong evidence to be taken seriously. On the other hand, supporters argue that the pattern itself is suspicious. They point to multiple individuals making similar claims, difficulties in obtaining clear DNA results, and repeated roadblocks whenever attempts are made to verify anything. To them, it feels like too many obstacles to just be coincidence. Social media has been flooded with reactions, with some users saying things like, "Why does every path to the truth keep getting blocked?" While others respond, "There needs to be actual proof before believing any of this." The divide in opinion is clear, and it's only getting sharper as more details surface. What makes this part of the story so compelling is that it highlights just how far Ramir has gone in trying to find answers. From legal efforts to public interviews to alternative testing methods, it's clear he hasn't been sitting back waiting for answers. He's been actively searching for some kind of confirmation, even when the process hasn't been straightforward. At the same time, the lack of verified results keeps everything in a state of uncertainty. Without clear, confirmed DNA evidence, the claims remain exactly that, claims. And in a situation involving high-profile names and serious allegations, that gray area becomes even more significant. Still, one thing is undeniable. The more these stories come out, the more attention the entire situation receives. Each new claim, each alleged setback, and each unanswered question adds another layer to a narrative that already feels incredibly complex. Right now, people are left trying to piece together what's real, what's speculation, and what might still be hidden beneath the surface. And with no definitive resolution in sight, this story continues to grow, pulling more eyes and more opinions into the mix with each new development.
Ancestry.com, and that's basically say they didn't give me my paperwork back. Like, I did the swab and spit in it and then get sent it to them. And when I called to try to get my information, basically it was an error, and I never heard of that.
There was an error. They wouldn't give you your paperwork.
They want to give me my paperwork from Ancestry.com. Now you have people saying use 23andMe. And I just want people to know, like, the courts got my DNA. So if they wanted to test my DNA, for me just to keep spending all this money, these guys can test it. It's JayZ and them, and it's the judges. They have everything they need. So obviously I'm not out of the fight, and I won't stop. It's not just about no JayZ. I'm not just chasing JayZ. That's not what it's about. My mom passed away fighting this case until she was gone. So that's more important to me than any.
Now, this is where the story takes another sharp turn, because according to Ramir's godmother, Lily, the situation didn't just stay between Ramir and JayZ. It allegedly started affecting things inside Jay's own household, too. Lily claims that around the time Beyonce gave birth to Blue Ivy, there was a noticeable shift in how this entire situation was being handled. Up until that point, there were already ongoing efforts from Ramir's side to get answers, but according to her, the dynamic behind the scenes started to change in a major way once Jay became a father publicly. According to Lily's account, Beyonce was reportedly uncomfortable with the idea of JayZ acknowledging Ramir. The reasoning, she suggested, was tied to how it would look publicly. If Jay were to suddenly come forward and recognize a grown son from years earlier, it would raise serious questions about their relationship timeline and what Beyonce may or may not have known. Now, it's important to be clear, these are claims made by Lily and have not been confirmed by Beyonce or JayZ, but the way the story is being told, it paints a picture of rising tension behind closed doors, where personal image and public perception may have played a role in how everything unfolded. Lily alleged that Beyonce viewed the situation as something that could potentially damage her reputation, especially given how closely their relationship has been followed by the public. From her perspective, acknowledging such a claim could open the door to intense scrutiny, speculation, and non-stop media attention. Because of that, Lily claims Beyonce encouraged Jay to keep the situation private and avoid any actions that would bring more visibility to the claims. According to her, this wasn't just about ignoring rumors, it was about actively maintaining control over the narrative and preventing anything from escalating further. If that version of events is accurate, it would suggest that the delays and legal back and forth over the years weren't just sleuthy or routine complications. Instead, they may have been influenced by a deliberate effort to keep things from becoming public knowledge. That's a serious implication, and it's one of the reasons this part of the story has grabbed so much attention. Supporters of Ramir see this as another piece of a larger puzzle. They argue that it could explain why attempts to resolve the situation, whether through legal channels or DNA testing, have repeatedly hit roadblocks. In their view, the involvement of powerful individuals and the desire to protect a carefully built public image may have made it even harder to get clear answers. On the other hand, critics strongly push back on this narrative. They point out that there is no verified evidence showing Beyonce played any role in these decisions. They also stress that public figures are often the subject of speculation, especially when private matters become public controversies. Without direct confirmation, they argue these claims should be approached with caution. Still, the idea that personal relationships and public image could influence how a situation like this is handled isn't something people find hard to believe. In the world of celebrity, perception is everything, and even small rumors can turn into major headlines overnight. So when something this serious is involved, it's easy to see why people would think every move is being carefully calculated. What adds even more intensity to this claim is the timing. The birth of Blue Ivy was a major moment, not just personally, but publicly. It marked a new chapter for JayZ and Beyonce as a family, and it placed them even more firmly in the spotlight. According to Lily's account, that moment also raised the stakes for anything that could disrupt that image. Social media reactions to this part of the story have been all over the place. Some people are saying things like, "This explains why everything has been so quiet for so long," while others are calling it speculation and demanding actual proof. The divide is clear, and the conversations are only getting louder. What can't be denied is that this claim adds another layer to an already complex situation. It shifts the focus from just legal battles and personal claims to potential influence from within one of the most high-profile relationships in the world, and that alone is enough to keep people paying attention. At the center of it all is still the same unresolved question: what is the truth, and why has it been so difficult to confirm? Every new claim seems to open up more possibilities, but without clear evidence, the story remains filled with uncertainty. For now, this remains one side of the narrative, coming from individuals who have been closely involved in the situation from their perspective. Whether more information will come out to support or challenge these claims is something people are watching closely. But one thing is clear: the more details that surface, the more complicated this story becomes. And with each new twist, the pressure for real answers continues to build, keeping this entire situation firmly in the spotlight and far from being resolved anytime soon.
You believe that Beyonce may have been one of the reasons why there wasn't a resolution.
I do believe that. Like in the very beginning, they didn't have a daughter, and there was seemed like we were understanding there was complications in getting conceived, etc.
Right.
And I felt like that would make some women, and seem like for her, she would fit that bill, uncomfortable about him having a fully grown son with a talent.
Right.
So I do believe that she had a problem. If it was true, she would have a problem with the fact that Ramir was in the picture or coming in the picture, because that was a vulnerable time.
Right.
But clearly now, 10 years later, 12 years later, you would think somebody would say, hey, let's just get this out of the way.
Now, here's where everything really starts to come together, and the narrative shifts in a way that has people looking at this situation completely differently. For a long time, many believed the only reason JayZ was allegedly putting so much effort and money into shutting all of this down was to protect his image and keep his past from resurfacing. That explanation made sense on the surface, especially considering how carefully public figures tend to manage their reputations. But according to what's being said now, that might not have been the real concern at all. The bigger fear, according to these claims, was much closer to home. It wasn't just about the public finding out, it was about Blue Ivy finding out. And not in a small way either, but in a way that could seriously impact their family dynamic. Reports suggest that JayZ and Beyonce were deeply concerned about how Blue would react if she became aware of these allegations. The idea being pushed is that their relationship with her was already under pressure, and something like this could push things over the edge. That's what has people really paying attention, because it shifts the focus from public image to private consequences. And then there's another layer that made things even more sensitive. There have been rumors circulating online about Kathy White, a woman who was previously linked to JayZ, with some claims suggesting she had a closer connection to the family than publicly known. These rumors remain unverified, but they've been part of the broader conversation surrounding this situation. So when you combine those existing rumors with the ongoing claims from Ramir, people are saying it creates a scenario that could be overwhelming for anyone to process, especially someone growing up in the spotlight. According to this narrative, the concern was that learning about a possible half-sibling on top of everything else would be too much all at once. And here's the part that really turned heads. Reports claim that Blue Ivy eventually became aware of the situation, and it didn't happen quietly. It allegedly came to light around the time Ramir took a major legal step by filing a federal lawsuit in the Central District of California. In that lawsuit, Ramir made several serious allegations. He claimed that JayZ is his biological father and accused him of actions like withholding information, avoiding a paternity test, and causing emotional distress over the years. He also pushed for DNA testing, stating that he was seeking clarity and closure after years of uncertainty. Another detail that stood out in the filing was the reference to his mother's age at the time of the alleged events, which added a sensitive dimension to the case. That aspect in particular drew strong reactions and made the situation even more complex to discuss publicly. Of course, JayZ's legal team did not stay quiet. They responded by challenging the claims, arguing that the allegations were not accurate, and asking the court to dismiss the case entirely. From their perspective, the lawsuit lacked sufficient grounds to move forward. What followed was a back-and-forth legal battle that kept the situation in the spotlight. Filings, responses, and public reactions continued to build, with each development adding more attention and more speculation to the story. Eventually, Ramir decided to drop the lawsuit. Now, that moment had people split in their reactions. Some sighed as a sign that the case may not have had enough evidence to proceed, while others believed it could have been the result of pressure, exhaustion, or behind-the-scenes factors that aren't publicly known. But one thing that's been made very clear, dropping the lawsuit didn't mean the situation was over, not even close. If anything, it marked a shift from legal action back into the court of public opinion, where the conversation has continued to grow louder. And tying it back to the earlier claims, this is where the idea of Blue Ivy finding out becomes such a major talking point. Because if that did happen around the same time as the lawsuit, it would mean everything collided at once. Legal drama, public attention, and personal impact all hitting at the moment it happened. That's the part that keeps people hooked on this story. It's not just about whether the claims are true or false, it's about how many layers there are, how many people are involved, and how each new development seems to raise even more questions than answers. Right now, there's still no definitive conclusion. The legal case may have been dropped, but the conversation hasn't slowed down at all. People are still debating, still analyzing, and still waiting to see if anything concrete will finally come out. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a story that fades away easily. With this many claims, this much attention, and these many unanswered questions, it continues to evolve, and it's clear it's far from finished.
What's up with everybody? It's your boy Ramir here. I just want to get on here and let everybody know the updates, what's going on. It's been a crazy couple weeks, y'all. I want to let y'all know that I have not stopped my fight. I did withdraw my case. It's for a reason, y'all. It's not because I'm stopping with it or not going to refile it or anything like that. It's just a lot going on behind closed doors. That's only one case that we withdrew for right now. But it's a lot going on. You know how this industry works. These judges, these lawyers, these high celebrity people, they try to use all different types of tactics and call it what you want, bully tactics and different types of stuff to, slow it down and just change the narrative. So it's like, hey, we got to step back and play chess, not checkers. So we sitting back and we just observing everything right now. I just ask y'all to keep the support. Keep the support. I have not gotten any DNA tests. I have not gotten any settlement, anything like that.
Now, if these claims are even partly true, then it's not hard to imagine why this situation would hit Blue Ivy the way people are saying it did. Because from her perspective, everything she thought she knew could have been flipped upside down in an instant. For years, she's grown up seeing her parents presented as powerful, successful, and highly respected figures, basically the definition of a polished public image. And while nobody can deny their success, the narrative being pushed here is that there may be a gap between that image and the private controversies now being talked about. According to the rumors circulating, once Blue became aware of these allegations, she didn't take it lightly at all. In fact, some reports claim she reacted strongly and wanted to distance herself from the entire situation. That's what really has people talking, because it suggests a personal impact that goes way beyond headlines and social media debates. The conversation online has been stacking up different claims one after another. First, there were rumors involving Kathy White, then ongoing allegations about JayZ's past relationships, and now the continued claims from Ramir. Whether proven or not, the sheer number of accusations being discussed has created a narrative that feels overwhelming to a lot of people watching from the outside.
And according to what's being said, that buildup is exactly what may have influenced Blue's alleged reaction. The idea is that it wasn't just one claim, it was everything combined hitting at once. That kind of situation could make anyone start questioning things they once accepted without hesitation. Some reports go even further, claiming that Blue wants nothing to do with the controversy at all and has chosen to step back completely. There are even suggestions that she has no interest in acknowledging Ramir, though again, none of this has been publicly confirmed. Still, the rumors alone have been enough to spark intense discussion. At the same time, others are urging people to slow down and think critically about what's actually been verified. It's one thing for stories to circulate online, but it's another thing entirely for those stories to be backed by solid evidence. Without that, everything remains in the realm of speculation, no matter how widely it's shared. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Despite all these rumors, JayZ has recently made public comments that paint a completely different picture of his relationship with Blue Ivy. In an interview with GQ, he described a moment that seemed to show her support during a difficult time.
In his words, he said Blue once wore a jersey with his name on it and went to school proudly representing him. He described getting emotional watching that moment, saying it meant everything to him. And to be clear, this is his account of what happened, his perspective on their relationship. But, as you can imagine, not everyone is convinced. Some people see that story as genuine, while others think it could be an attempt to control the narrative and counter the rumors that have been spreading. That contrast is what's really fueling debate right now. Social media has definitely not held back. Some users are saying things like, if he speaks, more stories are going to come out, while others argue that the situation should have been handled privately a long time ago. There's also a strong sentiment from people who believe Ramir deserves answers, especially considering how long he's been pushing for them. One comment that stood out said, he had the chance to deal with this quietly and didn't. Now it's bigger than ever. Another person wrote, this is about someone wanting the truth about their family, not just drama. Those kinds of reactions show that for many people, this isn't just entertainment. It's something they're taking seriously.
And that's really what this whole situation comes down to. On one side, you have ongoing claims, emotional accounts, and unanswered questions. On the other side, you have denials, lack of confirmed evidence, and a very different version of events being presented publicly. Some people believe there's more to the story that hasn't come out yet. Others think the entire situation has been blown out of proportion without enough proof. But either way, the conversation isn't slowing down anytime soon. As more people weigh in and more details continue to circulate, the pressure for clarity keeps building. Everyone seems to be waiting for something definitive, something that moves this out of the gray area and into confirmed truth. Until then, it remains a story filled with claims, reactions, and conflicting narratives, with each new development pulling more attention and more opinions into the mix. So now it really comes down to what people choose to believe, what they question, and what they're still waiting to see unfold next.